Hi there, welcome to the channel, and for you returning viewers, hello again. Today you join me on the third night in a row that I've been filming these reviews. It's the 30th of July, it is around 7 PM, and I've got 2 more books to go, and then I can have a bit of a rest until the weekend when I'll probably do a book haul video for the month of July. Okay, without further ado, the book I'm looking at today, well now, is Normally Weird and Weirdly Normal by Robin Ince. Now, Robin Ince is a gentleman I've followed the work of for probably a decade or more, maybe 15 years. He is a UK comedian. He was a stand-up comedian. He still does a bit of that. He is a radio presenter, most famously for the Infinite Monkey Cage, a kind of science-based comedy chat discussion show that goes out on BBC Radio 4 and it's available via podcasts worldwide. He's presented several documentaries of his own, and he writes books. He's a book mad person. That's probably what attracted me the most. He writes about his adventures going to bookshops and finding books and the weird things he finds in those bookshops, and he uses them as like material for his shows, the strange books he finds and reads and quotes from. He also has written books about human nature, science, comedy and what it says about humanity, all that type of thing. And I think I've pretty much read every book he put out. I know there's probably 2 or 3 of them available, reviews of them available on this channel if you have a look in the back catalogue. I'm not sure what really attracts me about him. I think he's very similar age to me, and he kind of on the same kind of mental level as me. So it's some trepidation that the inspiration for this book is that he was recently officially diagnosed as ADHD at the age of 52, and this has apparently changed his life. A lot of things he felt were wrong with his life or different about his life have kind of come into focus for him, and he's really enjoying knowing what's going on and kind of putting his feelers out to join hands with other people with a similar neurodivergent condition. And that's pretty much what this book is about. He kind of launches from his diagnosis into a kind of an exploration of the neurodivergent among us, how they or we are different from the rest of you, and he does launch the story basically with an incident in his childhood. I know he's mentioned this in some of his other books and some of his spoken word material, but he had a terrifying experience when he was about 3 years old. He was in the back seat of his car playing with a toy gun, and his mother was driving, and they had an accident. And this was about 1972 when he was 3, and he carried that with him as a massive source of guilt. He thought something he had done had caused his mother's accident, and it had so happened that his mother was never quite the same health-wise. She was seriously injured in the accident, and didn't have a happy existence after that, and she died fairly recently. And this kind of carried with him, and it kind of, he thinks that's kind of switched him into a certain mode in his life. And then he goes on about various things that neurodivergent people do. That's like masking, where we hide our condition, we try to pretend to be normal. He goes on about the various common traits of neurodivergent people, things like collections, hoarding as you might call it, being an expert in a certain subject, difficulty with friends, and there's a section on neurodivergent people in the workplace and how that's a struggle, which some of us can attest to. And he talks to a lot of people who would class themselves as neurodivergent. A lot of them are just named with first names, or he's changed the names, so that shows you that there's still a stigma out there. So we basically get their experiences of these things of life with not being quite normal, as the people would call them. There is a lot of anecdotes and stories, some humorous, some sad, some shocking, about how people have been treated and how people have struggled in life. And yeah, that's pretty much most of the book. And you know, then he leads on to his own diagnosis and how that affected him. He basically was speaking to somebody over a Zoom call when it all came out, and this person said, "Hey, you're pretty much ADHD or on the spectrum, Robin. Get yourself examined," basically. So that's kind of opened a door to a new world for him, and he seems very happy about that. And but he says it's not a one-stop shop to happiness, and it may be different for people. He has examples of when finding out what you really are doesn't really help. And of course, everything is on a spectrum. You just undiagnosis doesn't pin you down to something, as many of us have discovered. And anyhow, the thing about this book is that I found so much of myself in a lot of these common traits. It's a bit scary. I mean, I don't have a diagnosis for ADHD or anything like that, but I do have mental health issues in the past which stay with me. But I just found I'm definitely on some type of spectrum. I have done tests for that, and I was on a low end of some type of spectrum once, and this book really spoke to me. A lot of stuff about masking and struggling in the workplace and collecting things. Like, I'm a mad book collector, so is Robin Ince. Robin Ince hoards books, can't resist a second-hand bookshop. In fact, he once wrote an entire book about basically going from one length of the UK to the other, stopping in at every bookshop and doing a show and buying all the books he could find. And he's got to a point where he has to be constantly selling or giving away books, so he's got room to keep books, which is something I fear that is about to happen to me. And so that's pretty much the book. It's not a very long book, but it's very quite, I don't know, satisfying to read this type of stuff in print, because the main point he seems to make is that these people have lived with these neurodivergent conditions, or just how they are, their life, and they've had to alter their lives. They've had to change the way they live, their behaviour to suit society, which has this mythical image of a normal person, when it's society that should loosen up and let these people live as they are, but that apparently isn't acceptable still in our society. So that's pretty much a short review of it. I enjoyed it. It's not a massive fun ride, but Robin Ince is engaging and entertaining. If you've read some of his other books or heard him on the radio, you'll recognise some of the stories and things he likes to say a lot. So that's a kind of a warning for you. He does repeat himself in various media, but he is an excellent author, and I would recommend that you go look at some of his other books if you like the sound of this one. He's been kind of edging his way towards this kind of topic for a while. So that is Normally Weird and Weirdly Normal by Robin Ince. Could be eye-opening for you. You might find out something about yourself. Okay, we'll see you next time.